Willie D Live.
Man, you have worn many a hats. You got comedy, you got writing, you got acting, you got hosting, which a lot of people don't mention often enough to me. I think you are a hilarious host, bro. I saw you,
Thank you, man.
I saw you hosting. It was an awards show I was at. I think it was maybe VH1 Hip Hop Honors or something like that. Have you ever hosted that?
Yeah, I did I actually started hosting that. I think my first hosting gig was down here. Was it here or Miami? The Ozone Awards was my first. Houston, was that here?
Okay, that was here. When Ozone, yeah.
I hosted the one down here, the one that went crazy.
Right.
That first one with everybody.
That was wild.
I was down there. I was on stage with everything was happening. But that was my first time, I think, getting into hosting a show. But man, I learned how to host I wanted to host because Damon, who started me in comedy, Damon Williams started me in comedy. He was a host, and it's just a freedom
Shout out
to it.
Dame.
Plus, I mean, standing in your presence is difficult saying, but I'm an MC, you know what I mean? When I grew up, I rapped. It was always about MCing, and the most comfortable way I could find comedy was to be an MC and freestyle, because my way of thinking was always so off. I couldn't think of a set. People wanted me to do a set, and that's why I applaud these young guys for doing the crowd work now. But when I had to do it, it was all I had. You know what I mean? So. MCing was it just gave me that freedom. And then came the difficulty when I started hosting. Like, I think maybe you saw I hosted Black Music Honors. I did that, but also hosted the Hip Hop Squares. I hosted Mind of a Man, which is my first TV show ever hosting.
Okay.
They had me dressed like, had in Steve Harvey suits.
Right.
Everything was a two-piece. And I learned it's gonna sound weird again, I learned how to read on there. Because I know how to read, and I've read my whole life, and you know how to read, but reading a prompter is different. You know what I mean? So,
what's different about it?
Well, it's beats in my head when I'm hosting. Another thing it gives me, the sense comedy is an orchestra to me, and I don't know how it feels to other comics, and I don't want to sound weird, but it's a musical consistently. And to be an MC, you have to be able to move between every sound. Like, there's a person over here being loud, there's a drink going on in the back, there's something else going on, all those elements going on.
Yeah.
And I also think that comes from like how we was raised. You're watching the block consistently, you're watching for anything that's happening, you're hoping, I'm not saying like in a fearful way, but you just watch, you're very watchful. We were taught as kids to be, in Black communities, watch your back, watch this, back against the wall. So I think I was able to adapt that to comedy to be like, and then that became that I was like, I'm hosting, this is what it is. And people saw me in that light, and it led to those jobs like the Mind of a Man. So, and Jesse Collins called me for a last minute BT Hip Hop Awards. That was unexpected. But I'm glad I learned to read how now I'm still terrible when it comes to my sets. Like, if I do my specials and I have something in the teleprompter, that's out of here. Right. I ain't gonna remember none of that because I'm zoning. But as far as getting the point and getting the notes out and hosting, I'm glad I can do that. And still, I've been given arenas where my comics are there. I got strongholds. I got people I could play off of and still get back to what the business is. I try to teach hosts that all the time. Remember what you're here to do. You're here you're carrying the whole weight of it's gonna sound, not saying you're ring master, but not in a circus per se, although the world is a circus place. We know that shit. But that's a powerful position to be in.